sounds so good.
That's amazing.
So crisp. Hey everyone, today we're gonna talk about this incredible Z32. This one's built by Z1 Motorsports. My buddy Matthew here is gonna talk to us about it. But these cars are so special to me. They have a special place in my heart. I just love how 90s they look. I just love that twin turbo 90s JDM essence. This is what we got in place of the Skyline. So we never got the Skyline, right? We never got the R32, 33, 34, but we got the Z32, and I just love these cars. They're just so good looking. But I think Z1, you guys pretty much built the ultimate resto mod version of this chassis. And this is the one that you love to hate because it's so impossible for anyone who's ever tried to work on one.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to work on it, but you guys have gone through everything, done all the hard work for this lucky winner. Whoever's gonna win this, I'm just gonna be so jealous, whoever wins this.
I'm gonna be jealous. I'm gonna wanna be like handing the keys over and they're gonna be trying to pull them out of my hands and I'm not gonna let go.
This is just such a good looking vehicle and it's so ahead of its time in every way. I just couldn't imagine back in 1990 driving this as a new car. Like how much of a boss would you have to be to drive this thing?
And they weren't cheap back then either.
No.
They were an expensive car. And yeah, I agree with you, Larry. That's this, the 300ZX, I grew up in the 90s and my first car like yours, early 90 Maximas guys. And that was what the car I had then this was the ultimate goal. This was the car I had now was the early 90s Maxima and I wanted to evolve into that.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. This is the vehicle that in the US, we pulled all the parts from this to build our Nissans.
Yeah.
You know, because the OEM parts on this were so good.
Yeah.
Right? Like you would just steal the brakes. You would steal, I don't know, other things like fuel filter, rear end, transmission,
That's
this,
right.
that, and the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was your idea? Z1 Motorsports, you guys do literally pretty much everything Nissan enthusiast.
Yeah.
What was your idea to do this as a giveaway car?
So the reason why we selected this to be a giveaway car, I mean, we're not a giveaway car company, but it was just something to promote our brand and to promote the products that we sell and the brands that we sell and the products that we make and sell. And the Z32 is why Z1 exists. Russell Floyd, who started Z1, you know, he wanted a 300ZX, he really liked them. He couldn't afford one at the time, so he found one that was crashed. And I think he had another one that didn't run or was crashed, and he made one running 300ZX from two. And then he just started discovering that there was an opportunity to buy and sell used parts and help people find parts that were hard to get. And lo and behold, ZX Connection starts. He was active on the forums back in the early forum days. And you know, the engineering background that Russell had got him deciding to figure out how to make some parts for the Z32 that could maybe improve some performance. And that's really how things got started. So the Z32 is where the roots of Z1 Motorsports is.
What's interesting also to me is that this is a platform that you guys really support, like so much. You guys not only do this, you guys are getting into the Skyline performance and also restoration division also.
Yeah, we are, you know, stocking and selling even OEM, you know, center console parts or HVAC parts for the R chassis. And as you mentioned on the Z32, even as recent as last year, we've come out with new product offerings for the 300ZX. Just things to help keep them on the road, things to help make some of the maintenance a little bit easier. We came out with new turbos recently, which are on this car, that are a larger housing, larger turbo, that are our own design. And so, yeah, we want to continue just to support the Z32. Being a former owner myself of the 300ZX, I've owned a couple of them myself, and it's kind of a love-hate relationship from an owner's perspective, because as you mentioned, we've done all the work on this particular one, but they're not easy to work on in many aspects. These are one of the harder cars to work on. So this car, is just kind of turnkey and ready to go.
Yeah, it's even to the point where there are shops around the US and I'm sure around the world that just work on these cars. Like
Yeah.
they are in business because they work on the Z32 because it's so difficult. And the reason why they exist is because it's such a good car and such a nice driving cruiser.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and dive into this one. How was the condition of it when you first got it?
This car was a cream puff. I found it on Hemmings, on the Hemmings listing. I'd been looking for a while, trying to find the right car. I wanted one that was a bright color. Aztec Red is probably my favorite color in the 300ZX. And we wanted one that wasn't a 90. We wanted something that was a little bit, at least one model year in. And this car is a manual and twin turbo, and it had 41,000 original miles on it. Has a car cover, you know, the service manual, all the stuff that an enthusiast owner that took really good care of their car would have. And I think the tires that were on this car had really cool OZ period correct wheels on it, which I would have loved to have kept on here, but they didn't clear our big brake kit. And the tires were like 20-something years old.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And so the car sat in, it stayed in heated storage, but it was very well maintained. This car was really clean, really nice paint. The interior's immaculate, and the engine was in really good condition. We just pulled it out and made sure it didn't have any leaks and did certain maintenance things like the 120,000 mile kit with the timing belt and just made sure that it's solid before we went in and started adding performance parts to it.
Yeah, looking from the outside, honestly, it looks like a lightly used car. Very close to showroom condition. So let's talk about the outside. What did you guys change on the outside? I'm assuming these are JDM taillights?
Those are JDM taillights. We thought that would be a cool touch, but aesthetically on the exterior, what we did change, we wanted it to be kind of subtle and OEM plus. Twins Design out of Peru, they make really cool, very kind of elegant looking body components for the 300ZX. So it has their rear diffuser on the OEM bumper.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It has their side skirts on the rear, or on the sides with their lip, and then the door filler to kind of close up that gap.
I really think it modernizes the appearance of the Z32.
I do too. I think it looks really good. And then this is a JDM bumper. This is the Japanese domestic version, market version front bumper for the 300ZX. And then it has a Twins front lip on it.
Got it. So then did you guys have to get the JDM cornering lamps or headlights or anything?
The headlights, no, but these are something that we stock and sell that are for the JDM bumper.
Got it. So then paint is original, but you did have to paint the parts that you added.
I think at some point this car has had paint work done. I don't know to what degree, but it was in very good condition. It doesn't have, like the Carfax and things didn't have any car accidents or anything like that. And then we also have this rear hatch kind of spoiler from Twins.
Oh, that's super cool.
To kind of give it a little bit more of an aggressive look. They've got a couple different styles. Twins has, on the 300ZX, they have various different things. Like if you have a spoiler, they have like 3 different types. The rear roof spoiler, they have a couple different types. Then of course we had to go with raised wheels on the Nissan.
It looks so good, and I can't believe how big the big brake kit is. It barely clears.
Yeah, they're huge.
Even with these 18s, I can't believe how close the clearance is. So tell me about this kit.
So this is our track big brake kit. They're a forged caliper. They're actually the same size and dimensions as the R35 GTR. It's like a 15-inch brake rotor. So they're very large. And then the rear, for the Z32, we have our street big brake kit on the rear. We thought that would be a little bit more appropriate for this build. Also a forged caliper on that.
Front and rear 2-piece rotors.
2-piece rotors, yep.
Got it. Amazing. And then you have the Z1 exhaust in the back,
yeah,
too.
This is our touring exhaust, and we went kind of back to old school with the more oval-shaped exhaust tips on this build. Very reminiscent of a lot of period-correct 300ZX's, aftermarket exhaust kits from the 90s.
I'm glad you guys didn't go wide body. I think the body is wide enough as it is.
Yeah, I agree. We have I really like the Twins front bumper that's on our car at Z1. I think they look really good on the car. But for this particular build, because the car was just so clean, we wanted to be minimalist about what we changed and just kind of do an OEM plus look on it.
Can we take a look under the hood?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So then what year is this? A 90?
This one's a 91.
91,
Yeah.
okay. Because I know the 1990s didn't have the hamburger badge here.
We put our hood struts on this one too, so that makes it a little bit easier to open the hood and not have to sit here and fumble around with the hatch.
I can't believe how clean everything is.
Yeah, it still has all the stickers and everything.
So what you could replace, you replaced, I'm assuming. Whatever you could restore, you restored. And whatever you had in stock that was new old stock or new.
Yeah, if there was anything that we had that could replace any aged parts, we did that. Most of it you can't see because it's, you know, behind the timing cover, but it's all very nice. That you can see the purple top hats here for the KW Club Sports that we have. This car rides really nice. I could drive across the country in this car. I love the way it drives.
What's this?
So this is the Z1 Disco Box. It's got kind of a retro vibe to it, but if you're familiar with the Sealand dual math translator for if you're doing dual intakes, the 300ZX with the VG30 has dual throttle bodies, and the Sealand kind of helped the computer communicate with the dual intakes and to have a true dual intake setup. They're unavailable anymore and hard to get, and so you're just kind of dumpster diving and looking for secondhand ones for those. So this is our solution to still maintain that same functionality.
Got it. So then how extensive is this motor build?
The motor is original as far as the internals, and the VG30 is pretty robust. You know, it can take quite a bit of power, and we have this one we have our VGX 800 turbos and HKS blow-off valves. It's got Nismo 740cc injectors. It has R intakes on it, and we dyno tuned it we got it up to 575 wheel horsepower on race gas. On 93 octane, it's like right around 515. And that seems to be a nice, safe, reliable performance figure for a 300ZX. And then we've got a Greddy Profec on there to kind of maintain the boost and keep things safe there.
You replaced all the old hoses with all brand new Z1 silicone hoses.
Yes.
Which is going to be really nice for longevity. There's just so much heat buildup with this being such a small
such
bay.
A cramped compartment.
It's so cramped.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it's so clean.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite things about a 90s car, being a 90s kid growing up in the 90s. I'm kind of a clean freak, and I will almost buy any car regardless of how unenthusiast model it is, if it's a really clean 90s model, just because I'm so attracted to the condition. But yeah, I mean, this thing, the seats are original and they're mint, like they're mint condition. It
almost has like new car smell still somehow.
It does, yeah. All the plastics are in good condition. The dash has no cracks. We didn't really do anything to the interior with the exception of our Z1 floor mats. Carpeted floor mats always get those wear marks, and this is the original tweed.
I really like this, yeah. I can't believe it's really stood the test of time.
Yeah. That was probably the part of I had an almost identical car to this, as I mentioned, and it had this stuff was really kind of worn out. Of course, the T-tops, these are a lot of times missing or broken. The sunshades.
So, unlike some giveaway cars, a lot of companies take newer cars and they'll rebuild or they'll modify them.
Yeah.
And then they'll give it away. But you did have to. I'm assuming you had to dig into some of your parts bins to complete this car, even though it was a cream puff.
Right.
There's just still certain things that have wear and tear.
Yeah, and there's actually probably a couple of things that we'll still do before we give the car away. As we've been working on the car, we come across things. But this particular car, there wasn't much that we had to do, but there's definitely, we have an extensive couple of warehouses on an off-site location from Z1 that are full of interior parts and hoods and doors and hatches and all kinds of things.
So this is your stuff.
This,
too,
yeah, this is our Z1 short shifter, and this is our kind of Fairlady Z branded shift knob for that. Probably outside of that and the AEM gauges here, just to kind of make sure things are looking good with your air-fuel ratio and coolant temperature. The short shifter and the Z1 shifter and the gauges. Outside of that, like we kind of left it all alone on the inside. So
What's interesting is a lot of people may know Z1 for the performance aspect of building cars, but you guys have so much in stock in terms of like OEM and new old stock parts for 350Z, 370, and now Skyline, because the 350 is getting to a point where they need to be restored.
They are, yeah. They're kind of becoming the next 240SX. They're very popular for motorsports purposes, drifting, track days. So if you're buying them secondhand, they may have had a checkered past, and or they may have been neglected for a while, and then now you're getting the car. And the 350Z in particular has all of the the interior bits that scratch, and we stock those. If you didn't want to take them out and restore them yourself, you can get a new OEM one and just put it in. The R chassis, there's all kinds of stuff. Those cars are getting so old now that I've been following your restoration.
Exactly. So what's gonna blow, what you guys are gonna laugh at is I actually got a bunch of R34 parts from Z1, and I'm going to ship them back to Japan, which is so backwards. But like, for example, I couldn't believe you guys had this in stock. You guys had the entire R34 center console in stock. Nobody else was just selling it as a brand new part.
Right.
Comes with the e-brake boot and everything. I already opened it up just to double check it. And I'm gonna ship it back to Japan. So that way I can have a brand new center console in my R34.
That's awesome.
It's the craziest thing. So let's go for a little drive in this thing.
Let's do it.
All right. So bunch of things that I get reminded of. It's like so nostalgic right now for me. When I was growing up and when I was building my first car, which was a Nissan Maxima, we had somebody in the crew that had a 91 300ZX, and it was really built out, and it was my first time driving a turbo car.
Yeah.
And since then I fell in love with forced induction. Pretty much all of my cars, I think, except for my 350Z, is forced induction. But like a couple things that really I think it's so interesting is the fact that seatbelts are mounted to the door. It's just so weird. And then this also is so cool. It has like a fighter jet, like a cockpit vibe.
Yeah.
This one is really fancy. I don't think I've ever seen this before with climate control.
With the automatic climate control.
Yeah, that is super fancy. Looks like you have that ready.
Yep.
The Pro Effect here. This is so cool.
I think one of my favorite things about the Z32 is just how everything was just a finger touch away from the steering wheel. Whether it was your cruise control or your HVAC stuff or your AC. And this would have been way fancy back in 1991.
Oh yeah, climate control. All right, so we're gonna take it on the road. I just wanna hear it. I'm not gonna push it because it's not my car, and this is a giveaway car. So this is going out on Monday, and the car gets given away on a Wednesday.
So it won't get given away. It'll end Wednesday, and then there'll probably be about a week or so while we have to send all the entries to a third party, and then they'll go through and give us a potential winner.
By the time you guys see this, there will still be time, like 3-ish days, for you to enter to win this. I'm upset because I can't enter. But a dream of mine would be to have this car, because this is one of the JDM legends, and I really want to be able to collect more and more of the JDM legends. Luckily, I've been able to acquire a couple of them already.
Yeah, you've got some great ones.
This is like such a nostalgic car for me, especially because this was available in the US.
Yeah.
So we always looked up to these cars as Nissan fans. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out on the road, and then we'll see how it goes. So then, did you guys delete the Hikis on this?
Yes, we did, not because there was anything wrong with it, but because when you start getting much over factory horsepower in these cars, the Hikes kind of becomes almost unsafe. Like it's great for the OEM, like
Yes.
stock horsepower, but when you start getting into the high 300s or 400 plus horsepower, 400 horsepower or more, it gets really squirrely.
Yes, I agree with you. It's uneasy, and that's why I deleted the Hikes on my R32, because it just doesn't feel right. It feels like it's spinning out, or it's about to. It feels like it's adding angle, but it's not actually drifting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So something like a four-wheel steer Prelude and stuff, that makes a lot of sense because you don't have a ton of power. But when you start getting into the 400 horsepower range, it's a little bit disconcerting.
This is pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Really cool.
So that was just in the car when we got it. It was something that the previous owner had put in, and it's a rear view camera video. It's just a video on all the time. So it's like you have a backup camera, but it's also your rear view mirror. One of the other things we did with this car as we were going through and making sure it was all good to go is we replaced all of the fluids, every fluid in the car, probably with the exception of the coolant. We put Motul in, so it's got transmission, brake fluid, oil, gear oil. It's all Motul, which is synonymous with Nissan performance and has been for a long time.
The clutch is very nice and easy. Not heavy at all.
Yeah, that's our Z1 clutch. It's got our clutch, flywheel, and pressure plate. And it does have a nice. It's not too heavy, but it's a lot better than the original clutch. Was really squishy. It almost felt like you weren't pushing anything at all.
This is so cool. This is a Z1 parts catalog car.
Essentially,
you put every single thing that you have in your catalog into one build for a Z32.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive, and having not wanted to work on the Z32s I've owned for obvious reasons. The one I had two. I've had one that was completely stock and one that was fairly modified. But if I just wanted a 300ZX the way that it was meant, like that I think is the quintessential build, this would be it. And I'd probably want someone to do it for me, because I like tinkering on my cars, but when it comes to the Z32, it's just a different animal.
Right. Everything works. It's a rarity for.
Yeah.
I feel like for these, they're kind of. It's easy to neglect these.
Oh yeah. Well, and even sometimes people think they're taking care of it by storing it and holding it away, but that's neglect too. Like they need to be driven, and I think that was part of the other thing I was looking for when I was looking for the car for this build. Wanted something that had been taken care of but not stored away in a storage unit and never driven. So that can bring its own problems.
Yeah, there's one of these at the Nissan Heritage Collection in the US that has 50 miles on it still.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sad because it just hasn't been driven.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds so good.
That's amazing.
So crisp.
The thing I like about the VG30 is it doesn't sound like. It just has a muscle car sound, like it's muscular.
It is like a Japanese muscle car.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Talk about ahead of its time, though. I mean, the fact that this made 300 horsepower back in 1990, just so crazy.
Do you remember the Ridley Scott commercial with the fighter jets and
that
the motorcycles?
they only played one time.
Yeah.
Because they encouraged running away from people or doing dumb stuff. Everything feels tight. Transmission feels tight. Everything feels tight and feels
Yeah, that's something else we would have done is all the bushings, the differential bushings and shifter bushings. Actually, that was one of the things that was bad in this car when we got it. The shifter was just like all over the place.
Oh, I bet.
The shifter bushings, I think, had actually fallen out.
Oh, got it. Oh, it's just such a nice cruiser. I love this. Whoever wins this car, super jealous. So jealous of you, whoever wins this car. I hope you enjoy it. Don't turn around and sell it right away.
You'll be judged.
Yeah. It's just so good. Just letting that boost build. Not even going to red line. It's fun just cruising this way. And everything feels tight. All the bushings feel nice.
I really like these KW Club Sports on this car. They're very comfortable.
I can't believe how comfortable this is. It like, the road's not perfect here. You know, there's a lot of cracks in the road, but it feels perfect. And I think this might be the first car I've ever driven with a button that goes from sport to touring.
Yeah, that was another thing. That was like big in the 90s turbo car area. The 3000 GT, and like they had the active aero and the 300ZX with its adjustable suspension from the factory. That was, not many cars had done that before. I want to say probably like the Porsche, the 959 was kind of one of the early groundbreaking cars to start doing the really fancy stuff with the suspension electronically.
Back at the Z1 Motorsports booth at Formula Drift. This is the Z32 that we just drove, but I kind of want to just touch real quick on the 600R.
Yes.
So I did have a chance to check this out at Z1 Motorsports, the white one that you guys had.
Yeah.
But I'm actually curious to drive this on the track. So you're gonna ship one of these cars out to me.
Yes.
In Southern California, so we can take it to the track.
Yeah, and we wanted to get the media's feedback. We want to get the word out that we're doing something unique with the new Z. Kind of show off what we're capable of, and leave our mark on the new Z. So we've got this special edition that's basically like the giveaway car, has our full catalog thrown at it. Just kind of really sharpens the tool, right? It takes the new Z from being a great grand touring car to a car that you can enjoy on the street, but take it to a track, and it's like a very precise weapon.
And then you have an automatic and manual version.
Yeah, we have a manual and an automatic. So we're kind of doing some fine tuning and some shakedown testing. Spencer's going to be out doing some more track testing, I think, as early as next week. Just kind of trying to get the suspension dialed in to where we want it, and get some of the tuning fine tuned, and we're going to be sending some cars out your way.
And what I think everybody, including myself, want to know is how you guys are going to do the Nismo front conversions on these.
Yeah.
That's something you're digging into already.
We do. We actually just did it. So the white one you drove when you came out last year now has Nismo front and rear bumpers on it. And so we are stocking those. We're kind of going through, just like we've done with 370 and 350, we want to provide the full kit, so you don't have to go and find the parts yourself. We'll do it for you. We'll put a listing up on the website, and then all you have to do is add it to your shopping cart, and we'll send you all the stuff you need if you want to take your Sport and make it look like a Nismo.
But that's so cool to have a manual Nismo.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
That's right.
I love that. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry.
All right.